You didn't choose who you're attracted to. And you never did. The face you couldn't stop staring at. The one that pulled you in like gravity. That wasn't chemistry. That was programming. Right now, as you listen to my voice, your brain is running a silent algorithm. It scans for symmetry, status, danger, and dominance. And then it lies to you. It tells you it's love. It tells you it's fate. But attraction isn't romance. It's control. Most people believe attraction is a beautiful accident. A spark between two souls. They couldn't be more wrong. Because the truth is, attraction is manipulation disguised as desire. And those who understand it control everyone else. You weren't drawn to that person because they were special. You were drawn to them because they triggered a part of your biology designed to obey. Your childhood wounds, your parental imprints, your evolutionary fears, all of it, used against you. Now, here's the part you were never meant to hear. You can make someone obsessed with you, without saying a single word, because it's not about charm. It's about triggers. Silent, invisible triggers that bypass logic and hijack desire. And if you think that's unethical, you've already lost. Because it's being done to you, right now. Every single day. Most people will click away. They'll retreat to the comfort of their illusions. But a few will stay. And those few will never see the world the same again. This is the 11th commandment. And what comes next changes everything you thought you knew about love. Let's start with level 1, the dopamine hook. You feel it when they text you first. When they look you in the eyes a second longer than expected. It's not love. It's not fate. It's a neurochemical snare. Dopamine is the same chemical that makes addicts chase heroin. And that spark you felt when you met them? It was a hit. A dose. A trap. You were rewarded for their attention. And now you want more. Not because you chose to, but because your brain is starving for the next hit. Psychologists call it intermittent reinforcement. Give someone a reward sometimes, but not always. Make it unpredictable. Make it scarce. And you can make them chase you forever. Casinos use it. Instagram uses it. But when a person uses it, it becomes weaponized affection. You felt it before. The hot and cold lover. The person who disappears just long enough to make you panic. Then returns like nothing happened. They weren't confused. They were conditioning you. And your brain? It loved it. Because the chase is the drug. Now here's the secret they never say out loud. The most desirable people aren't the most attractive. They're the most inconsistent. Unpredictability creates obsession. Not beauty. Not kindness. Not compatibility. Still think attraction is pure? Then ask yourself, who are you still thinking about? The one who loved you openly? Or the one who left you wondering what you did wrong? You already know the answer. And now that you've seen level 1, you're ready for what comes next. But be warned. Level 2 isn't about feeling something. It's about losing control. Before you even realize it's gone. Level 2, trauma bonding. The parasite of the soul. You don't fall for people. You fall for patterns. And the most dangerous pattern? Pain mixed with pleasure. That person who pushed you to your breaking point. Then pulled you back in with just enough tenderness to keep you alive? They didn't love you. They conditioned you. This is trauma bonding. And it's not just abuse survivors who experience it. It's anyone who's ever mistaken chaos for passion. Tension for depth. Control for connection. Here's how it works. Your nervous system confuses emotional pain with emotional intensity. So when someone wounds you, then soothes you, you associate that person with relief. Not harm. Not threat. Relief. And the deeper the wound, the more addictive the relief becomes. Your brain rewires itself to crave the cycle. And before you know it, you're begging for crumbs from the same hand that starved you. You say you're in love. But love doesn't feel like withdrawal. It doesn't feel like anxiety. It doesn't feel like you're dying when they leave. That's not love. That's chemical captivity. And the most haunting part? You'll defend the person doing it to you. Because to admit they're the predator would mean admitting you were prey. You see, People don't fear being manipulated. They fear realizing how easily it happened. But you're not here for comfort. You're here for truth. And the truth is this. Anyone who understands trauma bonding can create irresistible loyalty, even if they don't deserve it. This isn't attraction. This is war. And your mind is the battlefield. Still want to go deeper? Then prepare for level 3, where love becomes obedience, and desire becomes submission. Level 3, emotional authority, the unseen master. What if I told you that most people obey the ones they're attracted to, without ever realizing it? Because once attraction crosses a certain threshold, it becomes authority. Let me explain. In any relationship, someone holds more emotional power. The one who waits less, cares less, needs less. They don't shout. They don't demand. They simply exist, as the axis around which the other person spins. And if you've ever been that person, you know the high. But if you've ever chased that person, you know the hell. This dynamic is invisible, but absolute. The emotionally dominant partner controls when you talk, what you feel, how much you give, and you call it love. But it's not love. It's hierarchy. It's the same psychological submission you see in cults, religions, and totalitarian states. You feel it as magnetism, but it's power. Undeclared, unquestioned, unchallenged. They don't need to say, "Obey me." You do it automatically, because you're afraid of losing them. And that fear is obedience. Now here's where it gets darker. The emotionally dominant partner doesn't even have to be conscious of this control. It's biological, subconscious, automatic. They radiate detachment, scarcity, self-sufficiency, and in response, you hand over your freedom. You lower your voice. You ask for permission. You wait. You stop being a person and become a subject. Attraction didn't pull you in. Power did. And if that unsettles you, good. Because what comes next reveals how you've been trained to seek out your own captivity. Level 4, imprinted desire, the blueprint you didn't choose. You think you're choosing who you're attracted to. But the truth is, the choice was made for you, long before you knew it. Attraction doesn't begin with beauty, or scent, or compatibility. It begins with imprinting. By age 7, your subconscious has already stored the emotional blueprint of what love feels like. Not what it should feel like. What it did feel like. Chaotic? Distant? Conditional? Congratulations. That's your baseline. The parent who withheld affection unless you performed. The caregiver who only gave attention when you were silent. The early heartbreak that taught you pain was proof of depth. Your nervous system doesn't seek what's safe. It seeks what's familiar. That's why you're drawn to people who recreate the same emotional tension over and over again. Because somewhere in your wiring, love became synonymous with proving, with earning, with hurting. And when someone comes along who's calm, consistent, emotionally available, you don't feel chemistry. You feel boredom. Not because they lack something, but because they don't activate your imprint. You weren't born to love toxicity. You were trained to. And here's the trap. The more self-aware you become, the harder it gets to surrender to attraction. Because you start to see the wires, the programming, the wounds. That's why healing often feels lonely. Because the people you were once drawn to no longer feel like home. They feel like a cage you used to mistake for comfort. But until you rewrite the imprint, you'll keep falling for the same person. In a different body. With a different name. Over and over. This is why most people never escape. They're not addicted to love. They're addicted to the pattern they once called it. And until you break that pattern, it will break you. Mid-roll psychological hook number 1. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt yourself shrinking around someone you craved? Not physically, but emotionally. Like your words didn't matter as much. Like your needs were too heavy. Like if you showed too much of yourself, you'd lose them. That wasn't insecurity. That was programming. You were taught to associate acceptance with performance. So you perform. You cure it. You self-abandon. Because somewhere deep inside, you believe you're not enough unless they validate you. Now imagine someone knows that, and knows how to exploit it. They don't raise their voice. They don't criticize you. They simply withhold a look, a compliment, a touch. They turn your nervous system into a guessing game, and you start confusing silence for mystery, neglect for power, emotional distance for value. That's not attraction. That's emotional starvation. You're not in love. You're malnourished. And every time they give you a drop of warmth, you feel relief instead of rage. They don't need to control you. You'll do it for them. You'll silence your truth to protect the connection. You'll rationalize disrespect. You'll blame yourself for their coldness. And worst of all, you'll call it passion. This is how power addicts are made. Not in bursts, but in slow, invisible erosion. And once you're trained to crave the pain, even genuine love will feel wrong. Don't look away. Because what comes next is the final level. The one no one escapes from without losing a part of themselves. Level 5, the illusion of free will, attraction as programming. You believe you have free will. But if I showed you the code, you'd realize you've never made a single romantic decision on your own. Every type you're drawn to, every person you obsess over, is the result of neural conditioning, cultural hypnosis, and unconscious pattern repetition. Let's break it. You're wired to seek symmetry in faces. Why? Because in evolutionary biology, symmetry signaled health, survival, strong genes. But here's what they don't tell you. That same system can be hijacked. Plastic surgery, facial filters, even the way someone moves their eyes during a conversation. These all hack your limbic system, triggering desire without logic. And by the time your conscious brain catches up, it's too late. You've already decided they're special. They're different. They're the one. But they're not. They're a reflection of your conditioning. Now pair that with early imprinting, trauma bonds, emotional dominance. And you've got a perfect storm. Attraction isn't a spark. It's a script. Written by your biology. Directed by your past. Edited by your insecurities. And every time you say, I just have a gut feeling about them, what you're really saying is, my programming recognizes this pattern, and I'm too unaware to stop it. This is how intelligent people stay in toxic loops. Not because they're weak, but because the illusion of choice is stronger than the pain they're trapped in. The truth? You don't choose who you chase. Your scars do. Your unresolved wounds do. Your subconscious does. And until you confront that, you'll keep mistaking emotional danger for romantic destiny. This is the moment where most people exit. Because to accept this is to question everything you've ever called love. But you're still here. Which means you're ready. Because what I'm about to show you next isn't just manipulation. It's enslavement. Mid-roll psychological hook number 2. Right now, someone could walk into your life and make you obsessed with them. Without touching you. Without even speaking. And you'd think it was fate. But it wouldn't be. It would be priming. Here's how it works. Your subconscious picks up on patterns before your conscious mind does. So if a person knows the right emotional cues, they can mirror your body language, match your speech rhythm, echo your values, and you will feel, without knowing why, that they are safe, familiar, right. This technique is used by high-level seducers, manipulators, cult leaders, intelligence agents, and now, influencers, dating coaches, even AI-driven algorithms. It's no longer about attraction. It's about designing the experience of connection. You think you're falling. You're being led. From eye contact intervals, to touch timing, to how long they pause before replying to your texts. Every interaction can be calculated to hijack your emotional circuitry. You won't question it. You'll feel pulled. And you'll call it love. But it's not. It's precision psychology. And if you don't understand it, you'll become a puppet pulled by invisible strings. They don't need to make you love them. They just need to make you feel seen. Because once you feel seen, you'll lower every defense. You'll give them access. You'll give them time. You'll give them power. And when they leave, you'll question your worth, not their intent. That's not romance. That's psychological warfare. Now you know. But the real question is, will you see it before it's used on you again? Level 6, manufactured longing, when desire becomes dependency. You've heard the phrase, you want what you can't have. But the truth is darker than that. You want what makes you feel not enough. Because longing isn't just emotional. It's chemical. It's addictive. And in the hands of someone who understands how to manipulate it, you become dependent. Not on love, but on the absence of it. Let me show you how this works. First, they give you intensity. All at once. Messages at midnight. Eyes that hold too long. Promises whispered like secrets. Your nervous system lights up. You feel chosen. Seen. Wanted. Then, silence. Withdrawal. Confusion. Your body panics. Your brain scrambles for answers. And instead of walking away, you seek to reignite what you once felt. You chase the high. You justify their distance. You blame yourself. And that's exactly what they want. Because if they can create a void inside you, they control when it gets filled. And more importantly, they control when it doesn't. This is manufactured longing. It's not love. It's the illusion of potential. And your mind clings to it like a lifeline. You imagine who they could be, what it might become. And in doing so, you fall in love with a fantasy, while tolerating a reality that is slowly destroying you. You stop asking, is this healthy? And start asking, how can I get it back? And they never have to commit. They just have to remain slightly out of reach. Forever. You won't leave. Because you're not addicted to the person. You're addicted to the version of yourself that felt worthy when they first noticed you. This is how attraction becomes captivity. And captivity becomes identity. And if you don't break the spell, it becomes your life. Level 7, the obedience loop, how love becomes control. Attraction is the beginning. Obsession is the middle. But obedience, that's the end game. By the time you've been pulled through the previous 6 layers, you're no longer just attracted to someone. You're bonded, loyal, submissive. You tell yourself it's choice, but it's reflex, conditioned, automatic. Here's how it works. When someone controls your emotional highs and lows, they create a loop in your mind. Reward, withdrawal, relief, repeat. You don't think clearly anymore. You rationalize everything. You say, they're just busy. They're scared of getting hurt. They're complicated. But the truth is, they've made themselves the center of your emotional world. And when someone becomes your center, you orbit them. Even if it burns you alive. You make concessions. You compromise values. You ignore red flags. Not because you're weak, but because your nervous system has been rewired to obey in exchange for connection. This is the final stage. The obedience loop. And it's the most dangerous. Because you'll fight to protect it. Even when they humiliate you. Even when they ignore you. Even when they break you. Because in your mind, losing them feels worse than losing yourself. And here's the darkest part. They don't even have to love you back. They just have to remain the source of hope. The gatekeeper of validation. The one who might, one day, give you what they used to. This is how control is sustained. Not through chains, but through hope. And if you think you're immune to this, you're already in it. Because the people who get trapped the deepest are the ones who thought they were too smart to fall.